So thank you, Winter Carnival, for being here and really tease up what I wanted to talk about. So when Don asked me if I would talk, I said I love that. What I find very fascinating about in this day and age is that honestly the majority of life literally is so positive. There's so many things to be grateful for, but there are some things in our society. There's that little bit of media, everything else, whether it's politics, economy, whatever it is, they like to spend all the time focusing on that. And that's why I really feel connected with this group, because to me, that 95%, that 99% that's positive, that's what I love to focus on. And I love to talk about. We certainly have to deal with some of those problem areas, don't get me wrong, but life is about, there's so much great about life. So when I put this together, I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk about 10 lessons of leadership. I'm going to be rapid fire. And instead of just saying 1 through 10, I'm going to use the word optimistic. Okay, so I'm going to use the word optimistic. So if you're taking notes, or at least pretend like you're taking notes, like you're interested. Anyways, so we're going to start out with the very first one. And the very first one, you have to start out the word optimistic with optimism. So I'm going to use that word. To me, optimism is so essential as a leader. No matter what position you are, it's so important because not only does it make you happy, but you bring joy and you bring happiness to somebody else. It just amazes me how people aren't optimistic, aren't happy and positive. So to me, being positive, optimistic, I like to focus on what is right versus what's wrong. And so it reminds me of a very quick story. So this little boy came home from school one day and he said, "Daddy," he said, "I flunked the math test." The father said, "Son, I've told you 100 times to always be positive." The boy thought about that for a couple minutes. He came back, he says, "Okay, Daddy, I'm positive I flunked the math test." All right, so you were positive no matter what, right? I mean, that's the thing I think about optimist leaders that I believe in and trust, is that optimism. If this is not a plug, how many have ever taken the Strength Finders exam? Oh, this is awesome, and I'm speaking to the group here. To me, what I love about Strength Finders, it tells you what you do right, not what you do wrong. It's not a predictor on a career. You can be a CEO, you can do whatever you want to do, but this really talks to you about your DNA, what you're all about. At Spire, every employee, no matter your position, you take the Strength Finder test, and then we invest in a coach that spends 2 hours with that individual privately and confidentially, and that person can talk about their strengths, learn about who they are, because even if they don't stay at Spire for long term, our goal is to equip people, make people feel better about themselves, and kind of find themselves and really focus on their strengths. They usually give you 5 strengths. I could tell you what all 5 are, but I'm going to tell you my number 1 and 2, so that would kind of tee up maybe the rest of my speech. My first strength is a maximizer. I mean, every day's got to count. You know, don't count your days, make your days count. You know, I mean, every minute, every opportunity, I'm a maximizer. I love life. I want to just squeeze out as much as I can every day. My second strength, which shouldn't surprise you, is positivity. So I love positivity. So that's why I think if you hear my talk here, those are what drive me as a strength finder. But at the very end today, if we have some time for Q&A, I brought some books, and again, if you ask a question, I'd love to give you a Strength Finder book, and we'll have fun with that. Okay, so that's the O. The P for me stands for passion. Passion. I believe leaders, no matter what your position, bring passion to the table. And the one thing that I think is somewhat erroneous is some people think the word passion means you have to be rah-rah. Now, I like to do that kind of stuff, but honestly, the leaders and the people that I respect and I admire so much are passionate, but they're not super boisterous. Passionate to me is like both feet in. You're going to give it your all. And that's what to me is what's very important about leadership is to be passionate. Matter of fact, so Spire has seen some exponential growth in the last 4 years. My secret sauce, I tell people, say, what's a part of that? First of all, it's all about team. I'll talk about that in a minute. But number 2, when you hire people, I say you hire 2 things. Number 1, we always at Spire hire for passion. I don't care about your skill set. I mean, we hire for passion. Bring passion to the table. Bring energy. Give it all. And then number 2, my secret sauce is hire smarter people than yourself, right? So to me, that's the secret sauce right there. Hire passion, and then you hire people that are smarter than you, and then great things happen. So I'm a strong believer in passion, 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 and that's the P in optimistic. All right. And by the way, big believer in giving back. And so find your passion and give back to that passion. We'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. Okay, the T for me is an easy one. But the T for me stands for teamwork. At Spire, there's no titles on anybody's door. If you go into the administration office at Spire where I work, you'll see Dan Stoltz. It doesn't say title. I don't care if you're a teller, I don't care if you're the CEO, I don't care if you're the janitor. We all have important roles, all important responsibilities. It's all about team. Spire's won some amazing awards But none of those awards are individually. Any CEO or leader that says, I did this, doesn't realize that there's a lot of people that did this. There's no leader that can do anything on their own. And honestly, there's a lot of people, I look in this room, that have mentored me and have been there for me and taught me how to do things in certain times. I couldn't do what I'm doing without those mentors in my lives. So to me, teamwork. But one of my favorite quotes, it's kind of a part of the teamwork, is Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. I believe so much in dreaming and visioning that if you can dream it, you can do it. You really can. But there's another line in there that isn't a part of Disney, but I put in there. But if you want your dream to work, you need teamwork. You can do nothing on your own. Nothing on your own. So to make your dream work, you need teamwork. You need that group to make things happen. And the acronym TEAM, you've heard it thousands of times, together everyone achieves more. And that's what teamwork is all about. So to me, it's all about really teamwork and making things happen. One person once told me, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. So my challenge to all of you is we have in these businesses, we have vision statements. To me, it's a dream statement. But if that dream statement doesn't really scare you or say that's almost impossible, it's probably not big enough. At Spire, I'll just tell you this really quickly. When I came to Spire, we had this huge mission statement. It was like 2 pages long. We had about 20 values, and we had this huge vision statement. I'm a very simple-minded guy. If I'm going to be on the elevator with Don, I need to tell him in less than 3 seconds what Spire is all about. So our mission statement at Spire is 2 words: improve lives, period. Improve lives. I just got an email from one of my staff. This is a little bit of a shameful plug, but I want to just tell you what we mean by improving lives. It might be a better loan rate. It might be better service. It might just be encouraging that person at the front line trying to make their day. I got an email from out in Hopkins. It was the storm like 2 days ago. One of our customers came in the parking lot, did their transaction, and I get this email that, wow, this guy by the name of Jordan that we just hired about 4 months ago, her windshield wiper broke. He went out there to try to fix it. He couldn't fix it. She couldn't drive. He ran up to the auto store, bought the windshield wiper, put it on her car so she could be on her way. Now that's improving lives. That's what I get excited about. We happen to be in banking, but we're about improving lives, making a difference in people. That's what it's all about. Well, that's our mission statement. Our value statement is one word: we care. It's that simple. I mean, so we improve lives, and how do we do it? We care. That's how we do it. I say that we're kind of banking with a heart. And that's what we have to be, is banking with the heart. Our vision statement is to be Minnesota's best, period. So are we the best? Absolutely not. I mean, we are ranked in lots of great things, but we probably will never, I know I got a couple staff members here, we'll probably never be Minnesota's best. But you know, it's a high bar. When you have that vision, you have that dream, we push it, because that's our dream, is we want to be the best. And we just last week in front of my board, we added, I've never heard of this before, but I just thought, you know, what we do, we added one core action, 2 more words. Core action at Spire is give back. That's what we're going to be defined by, is our give back. Making a difference in people's lives and giving back. So anyways, a little bit of a tangent, but team, let's get back to my optimistic, okay? All right, so the letter I. The letter I, to me, is my most 2 favorite words, is influence and impact. You guys are all influencers and all impactors. I look around this room, and a lot of you have influenced and impacted me. To me, life is about influence and impact. And here's the deal. Everyone can impact and influence, but here's the sad part of it. Some can impact and influence negatively. You got 2 options: to impact and influence positively or negatively. It's your choice. And to me, I've had some negative impactors. I've had some people that have said some things or done some things that really didn't impact positively. But you all have impact and influence. And I just want to say this to all of you: don't ever underestimate your impact and influence. Whether it's we all have different circles. Some platforms are a little bit larger than others, but we all have influence. Family, neighbors, cousins, work colleagues, wherever you're at, you can impact and influence, and you are impacting and influence, even if you're not doing it intentionally. Every moment, every day, every contact. I think of Winter Carnival with 350 visits. They're going to see thousands of people this next year. They have a tremendous year. They have a platform over these next 365 days to be huge in their impact and influence. So me, but all of us have impact and influence, and that's what I love to do. So don't ever underestimate. All right, the M stands for mistakes. I got to tell you, this is a lesson I wish I would have learned. I mean, I'm 42 years old, but why is Don laughing here? You know, he doesn't buy it. So I really wish I would have learned this in my 30s. I really wish somebody would pull me aside and said, Dan, failure's okay. Mistakes are okay. Because one of the things that I think we beat ourselves up on is we're afraid to make mistakes. But fact is, I have 6 grandkids now, and they're all under the age of 5. And I'm seeing each one of these kids falling, doing things. But that's how you grow. That's how you learn how to walk. That's how you learn how to ride a bike. That's how you grow as a leader to make mistakes. At Spire, we talk about all the time is we embrace mistakes. We embrace failures. If you talk to those that have had successes, if we want to define that, however you want to define that, they've had some dark valleys. They may have been fired from a job. Maybe they've been bankrupt. Maybe there's something that happened. No one's had this perfect spiral upward. No one. But those mistakes, as you look back in your life, I look back in mine, those are lessons learned. I mean, I'm smarter today because of that. And it's hard to say to embrace mistakes, but we try to say that at Spire all the time. Now we do add another thing to that. We say fail fast. All right? Because one thing we don't want to do is keep accepting failure and mistakes and doing the same things over and over. Learn from those mistakes, but they're okay. Don't beat yourself up on anything that went wrong, or if something happened to you that really wasn't just, it's a lesson learned. I look at a couple opportunities that I've had in my lifetime, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out. And I will tell you something, it was the best no answer I ever received in my life. And I look back at that and I see what it was all about. So mistakes, failures, embrace them. It's all great. All right. So the next I for optimistic is the word impossible. I love the word impossible because I have made a career on the word impossible. So think of the word impossible. Let's look at the spelling. I-M-P-O-S-S-I-B-L-E. All right. Let's look at the first I, next letter M, and then possible. I am possible. The word impossible says you can do it. I always say at Spire, let's take the T out of can't. My staff is so tired of that saying. But I will tell you, we've had 4 mergers in the last 5 years at Spire. Other credit unions have come into Spire. Every one of them had can'ts written all over them. Everybody said, you can't do this, you won't do this. And I tell you what, I love that word can't. Because while others say can't, optimists, those that are positive, those leaders say, I can. So I want to just relate one story on that I think is kind of related to our guests here today. So it was 1 year ago. The Super Bowl's coming to Minnesota. Minneapolis is getting all the attention. I'm a St. Paul guy. I love Minneapolis too. But all the attention was around Minneapolis. There was a group that were going to build an ice palace down at the Capitol. And we thought, hey, it's during Winter Carnival. Let's show them what winter's like. There was a group, and they were going to build an ice palace out by the state capitol. It was going to be about $10 to $15 million. In late October, it died. They didn't raise really any funds. Didn't happen. Not because of them. They just couldn't do it. So then a couple people tapped myself and a couple others and say, we just need this. I mean, this is it. And I said, you know what? It's Super Bowl. Everyone's going to be in Minneapolis. We can do it. Now it's October. We got to build this crazy thing in 2 months, and we got to raise about $1 million. $1.1 million is what we said. I will tell you something. I mean, yes, a lot of us cashed in every chip we had with everybody we knew, but we raised $1.1 million. We got a deal with the labor unions. We worked with the ice cutter. I can't even remember. It was in Young America, the clearest lake in Minnesota. They cut 5,500 blocks, put them on semis. We fortunately had some really great weather. They shipped them over there, and we had a 7-story, 5,500 really ice palace last year. We had over 1 million people in Rice Park. LA Times on their front page that weekend in their travel section had the ice palace of St. Paul on LA Times. Now I'll tell you something, it's not about me. That was a total team effort, but people said, can't, you're crazy. It's going to melt. I mean, think of the goofiness of, just think of the goofiness of raising an ice palace. In 2 weeks it's going to melt. But I will tell you one thing it did, it really built community. We saw so many people. We talked about giving back and building community and giving back to others and encouraging other people. It was the greatest thing. But again, my encouragement to you is when you hear can't, we as the optimists say can. Okay? All right. I think I'm winding down. Casey, what do we got for time?
12:50 seconds.
Oh, okay. I got a little bit of time. Okay. Oh, great. All right. I got 2 more hours. You got me on a roll. So one thing on that too, in my office I got this little Post-it note that's all wrinkled up, and it has 88 tick marks on it. And every time with the ice palace, someone said can't, whether it was a city official or it was something else, I did a tick on that. So 88 ticks on that Post-it note always reminds me of the ice palace. All right. So the next one that I want to talk to you about is the letter S, and this is one that I'm kind of passionate about. So success. my definition of success. Now, Webster might define success as title. Webster might define success as how much money you have, the kind of house you live in, the kind of car you have. That's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. That is not success. I have loved to listen to people that I admire, respect, that are just enormously successful, and I really found out there's really two components. This is my definition. So the first definition of success for me, Dan Stoltz, is that you do have to be a go-getter. So a go-getter is one that really falls down 6 times, gets up 7. A go-getter is one that just takes the tea out of can. A go-getter is like right there, gives it their best, they're passionate, they believe in it, they live with integrity. That's a go-getter in my mind. Is that my alarm for me to give up? Okay. That's right. Then the other, so that now we look at a population, in my opinion, now we've got 10% of the population that I believe are go-getters. That really, and I look at this room, you're all go-getters. So go-getters. But here's the second part of that definition. To me, it's being a go-getter and a go-giver. And I have so much respect for those that make differences and people that are really in need, communities that are in need. The legacy and the people that have invested in me, I will forever be grateful. And so me, I define that go-giver as 3 things, 3 T's. Okay? Time, talent, treasures. So how do you give back? You give back in your time. We all have 24 hours in a day. Not one of us have any more time, any less time. We all have 24 hours. So I say, give back, carve back some of that time, and give it back to something that you're passionate about, that you believe in. Give back, make a difference, talk to people, work with the communities that you really believe in. Talent. We talked about strength finders. There's not one person in this room that's more talented than anybody else. We all have different talents. We have different makeup of talents. But whatever that talent is, give that back. There's some organization that could use that talent. I know that Boreas here, Monty, his wife plays beautifully the harp. And I'm just always amazed at what she does with that, even the little time I've known her. And she gives that back and so many times in her church and things like that. But find out your passion and what it is, but your talent, but give that back. Time, talent, and the last thing is treasures. To me, we all get paid. It doesn't matter what you get paid. It matters what you do with what you get paid. It really does. At Spire, when I talk to people, I always talk about my rule of budgeting, because again, very simple-minded person, is I always talk about the 10-10-80 rule. A lot of people think it's the 80-10-10, but let me explain to you what I feel that the 10-10-80 rule is. So you make $1, let's make it $100. Inflation is up a little bit. So you make $100, first $10, give it back. That's the first 10%. Because you give it back, you find what you're passionate about, make a difference, and improve a life. Because people, we all need it, and we all need support. So that first 10% is give back. The second 10% is savings. You know, one of the things that us Americans do, I call it dollar in, dollar out. So what happens is we all get raises, things happen, and then what happens is then we tend to spend that. But I'm telling you to find that first 10%, give it back. The second 10%, next $10, save it. Contingency fund, 401k fund, long-term disability, all the essentials that you need for a contingency fund. Keep saving 10%. And then the 80%, just build a budget and spend that 80%. Go after it. But you know what happens is us Americans want to do 80-10-10. We say we're going to spend 80, and then we're going to save 10, and we're going to give 10, but we spend over 100, right? We're in banking, so we know that. A lot of people spend 100, they never get to the other 2 10s. So my little thing about time, talent, treasures, when we talk about treasures, is give back your 10-10-80. Your life will be richer. You're going to be very impactful, and I just believe in that very strongly. So my definition for success is being a go-getter and go-giver. Okay. All right, I got 3 more left. T. The T stands for me, is the words thank you. I think gratitude, I think 2 words that aren't said enough in the English dictionary, honestly, are the words thank you. I can't tell you how many times, one of the things I try to do is every other month I go out to all my branches and I sit down with the staff and I listen to them, but I always want to end with a thank you. Because we all need it. It has to be genuine, it has to be real, but we just don't hear that enough. So I'm going to put, I'm going to put one of my senior executives up on the spot here, but Casey, I'm going to have you stand here for a minute. So when we talk about gratitude, at the beginning of January, I want to try something a little different. Casey heads up all the marketing, so the things with the truck and the advertisements and all that, it's his idea. Him and his team. We got Lisa, we got so many here. They're amazing. But all the senior leaderships, we have a bonus structure, right? Like a lot of other people. And so I handed Casey and I handed the other senior vice presidents a booklet. And I said, here you go. I said, we're not going to talk about bonuses, but this booklet is different than you've ever had. So Casey, I'm putting you on the spot, but what do we call that booklet?
Gratitude journal.
Okay, a gratitude journal. Okay, now you can sit down. That's all I want to do. Thank you. Let's give it for Casey. That was good. Yeah, you rehearsed that. You did great, Casey. So one of the things that we're talking about this year is that before we even talk about the results of our year, I don't care what you put in your gratitude journal. But what I want us to do is have a lifestyle where we look at things that we didn't look at before. And life is so much richer when we look at what's in front of us. And so all my senior vice presidents have a gratitude journal, and I'm going to have one question only on December 31. And the question is, did you use your gratitude journal? The answer is yes, then we start talking about the bonus. Because to me, it's a way that we as a group can start, and I've had a couple in the group already send me something like, the other day, I'm thankful for my car. I mean, when I was first married, we had a car that wasn't even dependable, and now I have a car that actually will start. So, I mean, it's just, again, some of the little things to be thankful for. And when you're thankful, you don't realize it, but that does bring joy and happiness to you and to others. So, anyways, that one to me is very important, saying thank you and really showing people that you care. Last, it's on that too. I believe that leadership is less about doing and more about being. Everywhere I go and I talk about leadership's less about doing and more about being. Leadership is about integrity. Leadership is about, people know when Dan Stoltz's car comes in the lot, goes out the lot, they're watching me it's easy to lead when the waters are calm. When life is good and everything's going great, man, it's really fun being a leader. But where you're tested is on those choppy waters. And to me, that's what leadership is all about, is how are you in those times. I've raised 3 kids. I know it doesn't matter what you say to them, it's what you are in front of them. I fortunately had 2 parents that were just amazing. I had front row seats to a very healthy marriage. I get emotional, but anyways, it's about modeling, okay? All right. Sorry about that. Wow. All right. The last 2 is I and C, okay? To me, I is very important, is intentional. Live an intentional life. Now, some of us are really crazy about that and want to have all these lists and things like that. But to me, I think one of the biggest disservices to anybody is to let life deal the hand to you and you just go along with it. Life, I am 58 years old, and I can't believe how fast time has passed. And I go, wow, I mean, being intentional is so important. So I went to St. Thomas for my master's degree. It was in 1991. I'll never forget. I just went through it to get my degree, had a family. But the very last class was a core class. And the core class said this. The teacher said, I want you to write a personal mission statement, and then you have to present that personal mission statement to the whole class. I grabbed a hold of it. I thought, this is something I really, really understand, really like. So in 1991, I put together my own mission statement. I actually brought it here because I just want you to know, since 1991, I look at this every morning. So I have a cup of coffee in the morning. I grab this. I'm staying true north to who I say I am. Somebody will say, what's your mission statement? It's very simple. My mission statement is to live my life with integrity and stewardship. Those are the first 2 key words. Integrity is you don't get a B or C or D grade. Either you have it or not. It's pass or fail. And stewardship is all about service. So to me, I just want to live my life with integrity and stewardship towards my faith, family, friends, and the marketplace. Now, the reason I look at this every morning is I love business. I love relationships. I love doing the deal. I love that marketplace at the end of my statement. But do you notice the order I have? So every morning I got to really make sure, that's why I got a picture of my family here. I really make sure in the morning that I recalibrate and I make sure I don't get out of balance in that mission statement. So I'm just saying to you, however you do your own mission statement, it can be very simple, it can be goal-oriented, but I just say you can make it happen, but be intentional about it. And just review it with your significant other, and honestly, amazing things will go and you'll do what you want to do. I never dreamed I would be King Boreas and Aquatennial Commodore. I made 700 visits across the state in 2 years. I absolutely loved it. I loved it because it was a chance for us to talk to young people, older people, vulnerable people, giving people hope. To me, that fit my mission statement. My board said, go do it, Dan. This is what we believe in you in doing that. So I was so appreciative of that. All right, the last letter in optimistic is C, and it's not a super positive one. I was trying to think of a better one, but it's one I'm going to finish with because, again, I wish this was a lesson that I learned when I was younger. So the C stands for you can't make everybody happy. I really wish somebody would have told me that. Spire has 108,000 customers. About 8 years ago, we had 50,000, so we're doubling pretty quickly here. And people see a commercial or they'll see me in the street, and I love it. They recognize it, they want to talk to me, but many times when I found out in life, there are people that aren't happy unless they're unhappy. Okay, now, I want that to sink in for a minute. I want so bad to have 108,000 customers so happy and love Inspire like it's, but there are some people that aren't happy unless they're unhappy. I mean, being unhappy makes them happy in a real weird way, right? I mean, I've never figured that out. Now, maybe there's a pessimist club or something somewhere. I don't know. So I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to take a couple questions. So here's the story that I think wraps this up. So here's this hunter with his prize dog. He's in front of the pond. He's sitting there ready to wait for the next group of ducks to come by. The farmer's up on the hill, sees this hunter with his prize dog. He says, I got to go down there and see what's happening. He goes down the hill. He says to the hunter, he says, what's going on? And the hunter immediately says, duck down, get down, get down. So all of a sudden, a bunch of ducks come flying across. The hunter takes his shotgun, shoots it, and knocks down a duck in the middle of the pond. Perfect shot, perfect everything. The hunter says to his dog, he says, go fetch him. The dog gets out of the blind, walks on the water, picks up the duck, walks on the water back, drops the duck in front of the hunter, not wet, sits there like a good dog. The farmer looks at the hunter. He looks at the dog. He looks at the hunter and he says, so your dog can't swim, can he? I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This dog just did the best thing in the world and he can't swim. All right. That is what people do. I found that out, and I've learned to realize that you can't make everybody happy. So what I want to do is I've got 5 minutes. I'd love to do some Q&As. But again, you have been I love this group. I love all of you. I just want to encourage all of you, stay positive and make a difference. And yeah, let's do it together.